Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new TNG model to take a look at. Yes, we've got ourselves the Woolly Mammoth, and yes, we have yet another prehistoric mammal, as we've had a lot of them so far, which is amazing because very few companies release prehistoric mammals anymore, and I've been loving each and every one of these. But you can see the box art yet again is pretty much the same as it's been the entire time. We've got the TNG logo up here, the name of the species, and we also again have a nice picture there. If you go over here to the side, you usually have a little information on the species itself right there, and that's really about it. Once you turn it around, it's normally the exact same thing, just flip-flopped. So let's pop this out of the box and check out our mammoth. And here is our woolly mammoth. And yet again, TNG continues to impress. This is super nice looking. Like, the sculpt, we could obviously tell was really nice looking, but you never know how good a paint job's going to look until you actually see it in hand. That, or of course, if you watch a review. But until you actually get a look at the final factory produced figure, you never really know how good it's going to look. But this looks exceptional, as they always do. TNG is so good when it comes to not only their sculpts, but their paint apps. They are so much more impressive than I was expecting them to be. When they were first unveiled, they started to show up on different online retailers. I did not expect them to be anywhere near as great as they are. But yet again, this is a really gorgeous version of a mammoth in both the sculpt and paint department. Lots of variation of color on this, like we saw through pretty much every one of their other, prehistoric models so far. They're prehistoric mammals. They've always been giving them these really nice, really high quality paint jobs, and we again have that here for this mammoth. It is gorgeous looking. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our mammoth, you can straight away see one of the most impressive features of this mammoth is the incredible fur detail, and there is a lot of it to go around. You can see that we've got some kind of shaggier fur here leading off of the ear, but some nice finer fur as we move up closer to the eye, and then we continue to see some somewhat shaggy fur as you lead down the front of the mammoth. As you lead down here toward the bottom of the trunk, you can again see all sorts of kind of shaggier fur up here on the top. But on top of the fur detail, look at the amount of color variation on this mammoth. There is just so much color everywhere. We have all kinds of variations of browns, and on top of that we have a really nice dry brushing with almost like some greenish tones of color, which is very surprising to me because I didn't see that on the prototype at all, but it actually looks super cool on the figure here in person. And you can really see those tones of color, again, that dry brushing as you lead down the course of the trunk. But you can also, again, see numerous different variations of browns moving through. You can see the eyes are also painted, given a brown and then a nice black pupil. They have a really high quality paint job for the eyes and also a nice gloss coat. You can see the mammoth there kind of looking at us from the front facing view, but look at how good the eye paint is there for that eye. You can even see some pinkish tones there around the eye. Man, that is super nice looking. But as you lead out here into the tusks of our mammoth, you can see some nice fine detail, and there's also some nice brownish tones that have been applied. But on top of that, there's even a darker brown that's kind of been applied in like a wash to highlight those cracks as you move out. And you can see a pretty smooth transition as you lead out toward that ivory color, of course, as you lead out into the tusks of the mammoth. And they look really good. I love the application of the paint for that area. As you lead down here into the bottom of our trunk, you can see, if my camera would focus on it, you could see anyway, we have some pinkish tones in there. You can also see a gloss coat added to that area to again add some more realism to the model. I don't know if we can get a look at the inside of the mouth. No, the mouth isn't exactly open. It's kind of closed. It's actually really hard to get in there to even look at it. It does look like we have some pinkish tones and stuff in there, but since the trunk is curved down and the legs are leaning forward, it makes it really hard to actually get in there with a camera to get a closer look. But again, the sculpt, the paint, everything looks excellent up here on the face. You can see, some scruffier fur up here on the top of the head as well. And again, more of that dry brushing with that greenish tone. As you lead back here, you can see again, as we lead along the top of the animal, we have all kinds of very scruffy fur. And we also have, again, all kinds of variation of browns as well as that dry brushing. It continues. It really just looks like a very thick amount of fur as you lead up there toward the top, and that continues as you move down here. Honestly, the entire body, besides the face, seems to be covered in an extremely thick fur, and It has that same appearance moving down the front of the leg. Again, just massively wavy fur. But you can see this leg is picking up off of the ground. You can kind of see the structure of the leg even underneath the fur. You can see the foot sculpt looks pretty good. We've got some nicely painted nails with a gray, and you can see the nice bend there in the wrist as the leg is moving and taking a step forward. As you move back here to the stomach region, you can see some nice darker browns leading down, running along the lower part of the fur there of the stomach, and then leading back up in front of the rear leg. And you can see again that we also have some lighter variations of browns in the stomach region. We see even more of that darker brown leading up here, and again more of that nice dry brushing, making sure to highlight all of the incredible fur detail through the course of the mammoth. You can even see more fur here kind of hanging off of the stomach leading down. As you lead back, you can see this leg has recently taken a step forward as well as the opposing leg is trailing. You can kind of see like the bend in the knee, and again the foot sculpt looks quite nice with those nice gray nails. As we lead back here, you can see the tail leading down to a little tuft of fur at the end of the tail. And again, even more variation of color as we have nice browns leading down, very dark tone for the tip. You can get a look there at the underside and everything. And then as we lead over here to the opposing side, you can see both legs are pretty much trailing over here. This leg is currently like about to pick up off of the ground, or in the process of it, to take a step forward, as the other leg there is doing as well. And you can again see the variation of color, the incredible sculpt and detail. It doesn't look too much different over here compared to what we had just seen on the initial side, because there isn't really a whole lot of difference in the positioning of the animal over here from the other side. You can see basically the legs are in a different position, and the head is turned to the right. Definitely has a good solid right turn to it, as well as a slight tilt in the head. So something clearly has caught the attention of the mammoth over here to its right. You can see the throat here on the underside as well. And again, the very shaggy fur of the underside, and even the undersides of the feet are very nicely sculpted. Nice fine detail there as well. So that is unquestionably one of the best mammoths that I have in my collection now. Definitely a very nice looking interpretation of a woolly mammoth. And on top of the sculpt, again, the paintwork is phenomenal on something like this. For the price range of these figures, these things are out of this world when it comes to how high quality they are. Absolutely another win from TNG. As far as a size goes on our mammoth, it is a little bit smaller than I expected. For a length, if you actually go from the tail to the opposite tusk there, you are looking at about 7 3/4 inches, or around 19 and a half, closing in on 20 centimeters. And then for a height to the top of the head, about 4 1/4 inches, or just under 11 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack, Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our TNG Woolly Mammoth. And you can see again, it's a bit on the smaller side. Not small, but not huge either. And to show you that for another comparison, there is the TNG Woolly Mammoth and the TNG Elasmotherium next to each other. You can see that they're not too far off as far as the size goes, but the mammoth obviously is a little bit bigger. But for a comparison next to some other mammoths, there is the Bullyland Woolly Mammoth next to our TNG version. If you happen to have this figure, it'll obviously show you that the TNG version isn't quite as large. We've also got the Eofauna Steppe Mammoth here next to our TNG version, and you can continue to see how impressive the mammoth from TNG is. You know, Eofauna is probably one of the leading producers of prehistoric mammals, yet I think the TNG version, as far as both the sculpt and paint, actually looks a little bit nicer than what we see here displayed from an Eofauna release. We've also got the Megacerops from TNG here, again next to the mammoth. And then for one final comparison, we've got the TNG Stegodon, which continues to be the largest mammal that we have so far from the TNG series, but obviously the mammoth there is a very similar size overall. Just the tusks of the Stegodon are a bit longer, making it overall, I would say, a bit larger. So this brand new TNG Woolly Mammoth is fantastic, and I am loving each and every one of these TNG releases, and in fact they've quickly become one of my most anticipated lines of figures. Like every single time a new one releases, I am just beyond excited about it, and I'm honestly counting the days until they arrive, because these have been some insanely cool releases, and this mammoth yet again is fantastic. The sculpt is great, super highly detailed. The fur detail is so vibrant and so impressive. Like, there's just so much waviness to it. You can see how thick it looks, and it really brings the animal to life in the most realistic way possible when you have detail as good as what we see here on this TNG Mammoth. On top of that, the paintwork is amazing. There's so much variation of color on this, just like we've seen on the previous mammals, specifically the Elasmotherium, where you have like a full body of fur on it. You see again that same incredible paintwork on that you see on this mammoth, with so many variations of browns, and we can even see blacks, and then we have that like kind of greenish dry brushing. Just incredibly impressive all around. The lengths that they have gone to really give you a high quality paint job, and again using dry brushing techniques and washes and all kinds of stuff to make it look super realistic. We have a really cool pose as the mammoth is walking along with a nice turn in the head. That as well looks great, very nicely sculpted out. And all of the movement is shown nicely in the positioning of the figure. You can kind of see like tensing and everything in the front right leg because it's supporting a large portion of the weight at that moment of the animal and everything like that. On top of that, you also have like the gloss coat at the end of the trunk. You have the gloss coat in the eyes. The eyes are incredible as far as the paintwork goes. And the size, again, on top of everything, is very nice and quite convenient. So as a whole, it's another surefire win from TNG, and that is no surprise because at this point, I have yet to see a single figure that was anything but extremely impressive. So if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that exactly where I purchased mine on AliExpress. So make sure you check that link, go grab yourself this fantastic mammoth, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.